Okay, so I'm here with Annette Collins. Annette Collins, who is the grandmother of Becky and Sylvie. Those who've been following this story will know the agony that this family are going through, fighting for their twins to come home. Annette, oh my goodness me. You got some bad news last week, which is so devastating it's hard to even say. But tell everyone what happened.
Well, we were in this committee meeting. First of all, they think I'm a domineering savta, a domineering grandmother, that I order my son and my daughter around to do what I want them to do, that I order everybody around. First of all, I'm domineering, and what I want goes, and if I don't want A doesn't happen. If I don't want B doesn't happen. That was number one. And then number two was that the welfare said they thought it would be best if the children stayed for one more year in care. One more year when for 3 years their education-wise have been stuck in what you would call second or third grade. In other words, they're stuck emotionally, education-wise, because of the trauma, the shock they had when they were stolen from the family. Now, these two girls are fighters. They're not giving up, but they know that they're stuck education-wise. They know they've been hurt. They know that nobody wants to listen to them, so they don't want to listen to anybody. And on top of that, the one person that they could communicate a little bit with, she's been fired. Why? Because she was on the side of the children. She'd even told us that the kids were going to come home for the school year that's coming up.
Let's just ask you something, because back in Pesach, which was about April time, the children came home to you for 10 days and 10 nights, yeah?
10 days and 9 nights.
10 days, 9 nights, no supervision, no social workers,
nobody,
no house visit, no checking the
nothing.
cooker. And we know that these kind of visits usually are very supervised. They try to find a million reasons. After 3 days of returning, they came home again for another 4 days.
Yeah.
So we're talking 14 out of 17 days.
Yeah.
All the signs were that the kids were going to be allowed to come home.
Nothing.
And
Exactly.
they didn't even check you. Nothing. So
They checked us only after they came in once with our representative and the social worker and her boss, and they came in to see how our home was. Our house was tidy, there were flowers, the house was organized, everything was fine. They didn't say one single word about my house. They keep on looking at my bookshelf.
yeah, I'm just going to
say,
look just a little scared. You keep talking, but look,
they say
it's
that
beautiful.
we've got too many books, and that I've thrown them
Too much
away.
education.
And
Look, there's flowers, there's books. It's a beautiful lounge, actually. It's all
And
spotless,
this
all
is
your
the girls'
painting.
room. It's not
Yeah,
our room.
it's
I
the
sit here
playroom.
because it's their playroom. It's their
It's
room.
beautiful.
They have a sleeping room upstairs, and they have downstairs. It's their space. I feel that I'm touching their things. I'm touching all of their things. It's a little bit disorganized right now. I wasn't expecting Marianne to come, and I just came back from work, and Marigold has been trying to get papers into a court, and the secretaries are on strike.
They
so
are.
when you have to do something, you can't do it because the secretaries are on strike in
So,
the courtroom.
Annette, the failing of the children's education cannot be in your hands if they've not been with you. How can it be your fault if their education is hindered if they're not with you?
It's some kind of sick joke. They assume that from telepathy that we can help the children, from mental waves up to Migdala Emek, that I can send them all the information that I have learned in 70 years, that we can automatically send them, or in the time where they're home, that we can work from the morning until night with studies, with schoolwork. But what we do is we have a good time. We play, we have food together, we go for walks together, we do various things. We went to an art gallery, we had an art session inside a gallery the other day. We go and do various things. Marigold does things with the kids, I do things with the kids.
Are they saying that because you don't do homework with them on the rare occasions they come home, it's your fault?
No, they don't put their finger on that. They don't specifically say why you don't work 24/7 with the girls, but they somehow blame us for the children are 2 to 3 years behind in their studies. And how? They haven't been here for this time. The 27th of this month, June 2016, they have been out of the home for 3 whole years. It's been 3 whole years of torture. Not small torture, big torture for 5 individuals. My daughter, my son, my grandchildren, and me. We've been tortured. Purely and simply. And this is what the welfare does. The welfare worldwide has a problem. They need to all go home. All of them. They don't do their job. Instead of helping families, they put the foot in.
How are the children? Do they know that the social workers want to keep them for another year? Do they know that yet?
Yeah, they went back. The boss of Migdala Emek SOS Children's Village probably called to the 2 different house mothers. I call them politely house mothers. They're really house jailers. Called them and said, tell the children that they're here for that they're going to be there for another year. But they will be together. They will not be separated. They'll be in the same school and the same
dormitory, I guess.
Dormitory. I don't call it a foster family. I call it a dormitory. I call it, it's like for me it's a jail. That's what I individually can't go inside this place because my grandchildren have been kept for 3 years in a jail. First in a Dasim jail and then in SOS, Migdala Emek jail. And
I want you to tell people, because you know how people think about anti-Semitic and so forth. You just tell people what you did in this country when you first came here about trafficking, because you're now in a position where your grandchildren are trafficked, but I know you worked really hard against trafficking here for a long time, didn't you?
Yeah, there was some committee meetings in the Knesset about the women that were brought from Russia and Ukraine and Poland and Moldavia and Uzbekistan. They were trafficked here into Israel, thrown into brothels and forced to service any number of customers every day, and the pimps would take the money, the traffickers would take the money. And because of me and a few other women, we got a law put in the books that it's against the law to traffic human beings. But what's happened now is my grandchildren have been trafficked, and it hurts the inside of me. It's like they're saying, you know, children don't really matter here. What is this, children don't really matter here? All of us matter.
That's
the
true.
poorest man in the street to the richest man in the country. We all matter. The children of Israel do matter. Period. I get tongue-tied when I think about it. My grandchildren were trafficked. One child, 17,144 shekels per month.
3 years, that's an awful lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
I can't add up the amount of money that they've made on yours.
One child, and there's 2 of them, and they've been trafficked for 3 years. Somebody made a lot of money, and not only that, their photographs were used to ask for donations by SOS Children's Village. They were asked in the States and in Europe, please donate to these poor abandoned children. And I recognized the twins, and a few other people recognized the twins. And this is illegal. This is an illegal use of photographs without the permission of the mother or the grandmother or the uncle.
And let's just remember that it's against the law here, or you've been gagged from actually sharing pictures of those children yourself.
Yeah, we've been told, don't use their photographs, don't use their photographs. We make a barbecue, we're not allowed to use the photographs. We have a small family gathering, we're not allowed to use the photograph. We're not allowed to speak, we're not allowed to say, we're not allowed to speak. But they can advertise to take money from rich people who want to make donations. Now, for me, this is sick, and I will not stop until my grandchildren are home and they've been given the help they're going to need, because they've been hurt for 3 whole years. They are hurting. They are hurting. Every time they go back to where they're collected on a Saturday late afternoon, they cry to their mother, Ima, when are we coming home? When are we coming home? It's so hard to go back there. We want to run away. We'll run into the forest. We don't want to go there. It's horrible. We want to be home. We want to be home. It's enough. Mommy, please, please, we want to be home. And it kills me because me and my son are usually the ones that watch Marigold. She will leave the barbecue early to get home to change their clothes so they can shower and get cleaned up and grab their things and go. So on the beach, we part. And they're gone from us, from me and Moses, and it's like our heart is gone. It's like something's been stolen from inside my soul and thrown to the dogs.
Tell the people here before we close this video who support the state of Israel. Tell them, what do you want from them? What do you want them to know? What do you want them to understand? And what do you want them to do?
There are people who want to make changes. There's not a lot of us. There are people who want to make changes. I am Israeli. I want there to be changes. I'm not going to run away. I have nowhere to run to. I have no place to run to. I'm here longer than in any country on the planet. I'm 70. I'm here over nearly 40 years. This is my home here. I buried a child here. I became a grandmother here. I want there to be changes. I want the people to come and inspect what happens when children are taken from their families. Why aren't families helped within the community? Why does the money only go to pay salaries for the pedophiles and the sadistic monsters that run the shelters, the boarding homes, and the emergency shelters? These are no way good for any children. Even the children that have really, excuse my French, fucked up families, they deserve help within the community.
This isn't a country that people recognize, Annette. When they hear about Israel, they don't recognize what you're saying. They don't see this. They see bar mitzvahs and travel.
I am a witness. I am in Israel nearly 40 years.
It's not just your children.
It's not only my grandchildren. It's many, many. They have a quota. They can take 10,000 a year. This year it's over 10,000. It's 10,100 and something. I forgot the exact number. But every year, 10,000 children are taken from homes instead of being helped within the community. Why? Why? So Lynn Schusterman can make big money? So SOS has a nice, beautiful home? So Vitso can say, we've done good for the poor children of Israel? I'm a witness. I see the damage on my family. I see the damage on my grandchildren. I know they've been abused and hurt and drugged and kept stuck in Kita Bet Gimel, which is second, third grade, and they're now 11 years old. Where is this beautiful help for the good of the child? There's no such thing as for the good of the child when you're involving the welfare. Period.
You're not giving up yet, are you?
I will not give up until the last breath in my body.
I admire your courage. A lot of parents here do give up. They settle. They accept the hour a week. They accept the institutions. They just go along.
I can't. This is my family. This is my daughter's children. This is my son's nieces. And this is my grandchildren. The father's not in the picture. That's his loss. He's not in the picture. He ran away.
Well, they didn't take the children from poverty. They didn't take them because Marigold was single. They took them for what they classed as a slight deficiency at school.
Yes.
Or attention deficiency, which I understand they were never tested for.
No, they took them because they said maybe the children are autistic. But that's an impossibility because they're not autistic. They don't have ADHD because ADHD doesn't exist. The man invented it, said I did it for $5 million. The drug company gave me $5 million to put a name so they could sell a drug.
So they were never tested for whatever reason they were taken.
They were never tested
for anything.
They did a test of Becky when she's for 7 minutes is eating a chocolate croissant She's eating, and this shrink is asking her questions, and she's saying,
Like kids of 7 or 8 do.
And when
was
she
grounds enough.
finished the croissant, she turned around and walked out of the room. And the shrink had to put a label on this behavior.
Of
The
course.
child did not want to talk to her. She had nothing to say to her.
Doesn't need much, does it, Annette?
No.
I know you're going to keep fighting. We know that there's a lawsuit in America that is still being finalised to sue everybody you can think of here. And it won't just be for your children, it's going to be for all of them. We do want people outside to know you're not against Israel at all. You're Israeli,
I'm Israeli.
but the system is killing you. I can see how stressed
I want my grandchildren home. I don't want children to be taken from their mother. I don't want children to be taken from their father. I think people need to learn how to make clean divorces, not dirty divorces where everybody throws rocks at each other and bad words and, oh, he did this to me, she did this to me, he did this to me, she did this
Well,
to
we
me.
know that Israel has that, Annette, so...
Yeah, well, this is a problem when people, first they're in love and then they're no longer in love. But the children don't need to pay the price of the problematic divorce, number one. Number two, you don't need to steal children from single parents. If a single mom needs some help,
Help her.
then help her. It's going to be cheaper for the government, number one. It's cheaper for the soul, number two. And you keep the families together.
We'll stick at that. I'm not leaving you either until we know where this goes. And I know everybody who's been reading your story and watching your videos, their hearts are with you. I know because I get the messages. So you do have a lot of people with you, honey. Thank you.